Millions and millions of Americans right now are struggling, and they're at risk of more and more pain. What we continue to hear day in and day out is that the economy is in a stage of transition. And as we transition, millions of people are going to pay the price. Here's what's happening. Banks are actually preventing loans. They don't want people getting a risky loan. And right now, as banks minimize their risk, one of the things that they're doing is they're closing accounts. This means checking accounts being closed, credit card accounts being closed. People that are even behind on some of their loans, whether it's a car, a home, maybe some other RV or a side-by-side, these banks are repossessing them as quickly as possible to minimize their risk. Now today, I want to break down what's going on, what many people have been saying, and what you are likely to face very soon. So I'll break all this down in just a moment, but before I do, all I ask is one thing. Takes 2 seconds. Go ahead, hit that like button if you enjoy these daily updates, and now let's begin. So it's crazy to think that we are talking about this again, but we are. Banks, even the big banks, are now starting to close accounts. I heard from somebody just the other day that banks with JP Morgan Chase, their bank account was closed. Okay? Their account was closed for inactivity. Now, they had thousands of dollars in the account. That wasn't an issue, but their account was closed and they were issued a check because the bank said it was inactive. That's just one person. Listen to what this person is saying. Okay? This person says this: interest rates need to come down soon, or I won't be able to afford my home much longer. Like you said before, lenders trick people into thinking that rates would return to 3 and 4% and got people to sign on to 30 years paying over 7%. At 7.28%, where my rate is currently, my family only has $1,100 per month for all of our other expenses. And it's starting to get real tight with prices still going up. Guess what? You think this is the only person out there that is struggling, that doesn't have a lot of money because their home or their apartment costs too much money? The average car payment costs $700 to $800? Yeah, there are millions of Americans that are in this exact same spot. And banks know it. Banks know that millions of people are struggling, that millions of Americans are going to default on their homes, on their home loans, on their car loans, okay, student loans, credit cards. The amount of payments that are in default is insane. We're actually hitting new records. Here's the problem. Banks are going to close these accounts. You will be required to continue to make payments on some of your loans, on some of your credit cards, but you won't be able to access the funds. You won't be able to use the card any longer. And look at this, okay? Because yesterday we learned from the Federal Reserve Chairman Jerome Powell, and he came out and he said that the Federal Reserve is going to hold interest rates where they are at 4.25 to 4.5%. That is where interest rates are going to stay for a little bit longer. He did say that they are probably going to lower rates eventually, that they will consider potentially 2 rate cuts in the rest of 2025. But again, many people aren't going to be able to last that long. I want to show you this. It says Trump says the Fed should cut rates to ease the economy's transition to his tariffs. I've said this before, that what the President Trump is doing and what the Trump administration's plan is, okay, it's called the External Revenue Service. He wants to charge taxes, okay? He wants the other countries, the external players, to pay for what the United States has to offer. He doesn't like the Internal Revenue Service where the American people are being taxed to use things and consume and spend. He doesn't like that. What he wants is everyone else paying to participate in this economy. Well, guess what? There's going to be pain along the way. What President Trump is asking from the Federal Reserve is to lower rates. Just lower rates, because we know if the tariffs go into effect on April 2nd, like President Trump is already saying, then this is going to be inflationary. Prices are going to go up. And again, keep this in mind. When this person, wrote to me and said that with their current rate, their family only has $1,100 per month for all of their other expenses, and it's starting to get real tight with prices still going up. Do you think tariffs are going to make prices go down? No. They're going to make prices go up. And as many of these banks realize that their customers are struggling, they can't keep up with their rent or their mortgage. They can't keep up with their $700 car payment, or maybe they have two of them. That's a problem right there. They have all this credit card debt. They have student loans. They got medical bills. Okay, they have so many other expenses outside of just their home. Banks are now shutting people down. Someone reached out to me the other day. I wish I wrote it down or saved the message where it was at. But somebody reached out to me and was saying that their bank reached out to them and is pretty much trying to push them to pay off their car. Okay? Forcing them to pay off their car. And do this, I think it was like 18 months or 16 months early, something like that. And the bank is trying to do that because they see the writing on the wall. This person, I guess, went into the bank a while back and explained their situation, is just frustrated with the way life has been. But by explaining their situation, the bank, whoever they talk to, realized that this person's in a very tough spot. This isn't anything new. Okay? What we are about to see, if we see tariffs go into effect on April 2nd, and this is more of an all-encompassing tariff, if we see this go into effect, prices are going to go up. The Federal Reserve already stated that they don't plan on cutting rates anytime soon, but what is happening is we are seeing the layoffs, more and more layoffs. President Trump just signed an executive order to abolish the Department of Education. There's going to be layoffs. There's going to be many people impacted because of this. And I'm not just talking about hundreds. There's going to be tens of thousands of people impacted because of this. Some from the federal level, but the majority from the state level. That's where we're going to see this massive change. And if we see more and more people get laid off, unemployment's going to go up. Well, if unemployment goes up, then the Federal Reserve says we might need to push interest rates down. But if we push interest rates down, inflation's going up. So again, there's a lot of issues here. We have a lot of things going on right now. So if we see interest rates go down, inflation's going up, which means more people are going to spend, and more people will go back to the banks to try to borrow. But credit history is a huge, huge factor. And according to multiple sources, we are seeing people come in asking for loans with subprime credit. It's not looking good. And this is why many people are being denied. But understand one thing. Everybody needs a bank account. You need a checking account so you can make payments. You need a checking account so you can, in some cases, just to rent a car, rent a home, right? You need a checking account. Banks are now closing these accounts because they are worried. They were worried 6 months ago. They were worried 12 months ago. Today, on March 20th, 2025, banks are more worried now than ever before that they are holding all this risk and there's nobody there that's going to bail them out. The federal government will not be bailing out small regional banks. We're just not going to see it. So, at this time, understand your bank account could be closed because you may be seen as a risk to that bank. So, let me know. Are you seeing your accounts close? If you are, let me know where they are actually at. If they're at a big bank, if they're at a small regional bank, let me know, because right now, a lot of people are experiencing this exact same thing. So, as we get more updates on this, I promise I'll bring you all the latest news and updates. That is what we know as of today. So again, thank you guys for watching. Consider subscribing, and I'll see you guys on the next one.